Is the tube going to load? Looks like we are loading here, I think. We are live everywhere now. All right, hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would just sit down, do a current events and a live stream Q&A for you guys. I'm going to briefly cover the Greenland thing. Look, I understand it's a heated topic. I do have international audiences. Around 80% of my audience is American. The other 20% is in other parts of the world, depending upon what platform. It's closer to 75% US on tubes. It's currently 87% on Facebook. So that being said, I do see the international blowback, and a lot of people are pissed about the Greenland thing, and they don't understand. So kind of let me break this down for people who are not understanding why Trump is giving this rhetoric at all. So they understand the more conservative American mindset. Our situation is the U.S. is been heavily obsessed for a long time with maintaining ourselves as a superpower, and that includes our financial, our security. We have by far the largest military budget in the world, pretty much exceeds the entire world's military budget, almost, or something, I forget, something like 40% of the global is U.S. So when it comes to things like strategic points, our viewpoint, and Trump has kind of taken the position that he expects our allies to do their part. Like, he's gone really hard at the UN, he's gone hard at NATO and these other groups for them not doing their end of the agreement, with us fulfilling our obligations and those other countries not fulfilling the percentages of agreement, the amount of their GDP and everything to those alliances that they've agreed to. Almost no one has done it. The UK might be like the only country that has. This has been a point of contention with these alliances, and it's the case of, because of the strategic position of Greenland, he's saying, hey, maybe we do need to acquire it through one means or another, purchase or whatever, and kind of push that because it's not being properly managed. It is not being properly defended. It's creating a strategic potential soft spot for us from China and Russia. And that is why he's going there with it, right? That's why he's going there with it. And it's not just unnecessary saber rattling. And I get that people around the world, well, you can't do that. Obviously, the Danes are like, you can't do that. But his perspective would be, no, you're not fulfilling your obligation as an ally to keep that area clear as the ownership. So you're creating a problem for us. It's kind of like, if you can't do something about it, I will, because it's unacceptable. If you're going to be our ally and you're going to hold this piece of land there too close to us, you have to lock this down better, or I'll do it through one means or another. And that's the position that he's taken, so that people understand that. We are always going to look out for our best interests. And for me and my own policies, whether like it or not, I'm a very strict U.S. nationalist. All of my loved ones, all my friends, all my family, I have a few friends overseas, they're all in America. I have an extremely personal vested interest in my country staying number one in the world. And I think what people forget, they notice Americans are like that, but I'm like, it's been successful, hasn't it? Think about it. We're like that. Do people not understand a massive millions and millions of even American gun owners literally own guns because they believe it's their duty to be ready to step up and defend our country from invasion, internal or external, as just normal citizens. Do you understand that mindset? And I don't think people understand that mindset. I think NATO will lose all credibility if U.S. takes Greenland. As UN, NATO has lost a lot of credibility. They've been called, Donald Trump has previously called NATO on them not doing their part. And he's shown them that they haven't been fulfilling their end of the agreements. But again, people need to understand, that from an American perspective, like, we literally view our Second Amendment as a national defense thing. So when we see other countries that are unarmed, we just assume their citizens don't even care about their country. Like, that's part of our mindset. So when people start like, I don't understand the gun obsession, because we're absurdly patriotic, and a lot of the gun thing is not just it's not about fun, even though it is fun, and I love shooting sports and hobby shooting. Not just about our self defense; it's literally about national security and being able to actively defend our way of life. That's how deeply we as a society take this. And what's been the end result? It's made us the most powerful country on earth. And I think other countries forget that with their patriotism. Their countries would be stronger if they all viewed the world that way. But we have facilitated a culture of America first, America, America, and what has been the end product? It made us the number one superpower in the world because the majority of our citizens for generations have pushed the idea. It's intrinsic to our way of life. When I was still going to school, we literally did a Pledge of Allegiance to the flag as kids at like 5 years old, every day in school, first thing in the morning. And people can argue against that, but what has been the end result? We've become an unstoppable superpower. And you don't think that mentality has been part of it? So the other side of that mentality and us doing that, we do tend to take that mindset of, well, we're going to look after our interests. And if other people are in the way or not willing to play ball, then we're just simply going to do it. You know, we've made that clear with a lot of stuff too. We are responsible for the UN. We've created the UN. Right? This is us trying to be reasonably fair to other people instead of just saying, hey, look, we'll just take over and do what we want. We'll try to play nice. Let's do this as a group and have some civility. But I think people forget that at the end of the day, the UN isn't capable of going toe-to-toe with us. The whole rest of the UN, if push came to shove. And we know that. At what point do you say it's too far if you choose to take? I don't know what the thing is. Hey, Lars, you may have a lot of interest in this topic. I did a whole long discussion in the first 5 minutes. I don't want to rehash all of it, but if you want to check that out. I don't know what the answer to that is, Tressie. I don't think that we need to take chunks of Mexico or Canada, honestly. I don't know that it's necessarily in our best interest. Alliances with Mexico are good, but we have to shut the cartel situation down. We've got to get the border locked down. And if you fix the stuff in the country, less other people are going to want to illegally immigrate here anyways. There's a lot that has to be done there internally. I mean, we could make a case for us wanting some of the resource-rich parts of Canada, but I don't think it's necessary for us to find a way to roll it into the United States. Like, I don't think it's necessary. Greenland is a very strategic thing. It's a very strategic conversation, right? So Connor, I've gained strength at a fast rate recently during my cut and have been feeling joint pain in my knees when training lower bodies. Is it possible for this to happen or Natty? Yeah, you may need to up the weights a little bit. Sorry, reduce the weight, take the reps up a little. Lars says, as a Dane, I have some things. First of all, the U.S. already has the right to add the bases it wants, but the U.S. has previous decades shut down most of them. That only has one to cut costs. I guess, Lars, you would need to see the previous discussion I had with the Danes also not having locked it down the way that we need. And it's kind of like, from Trump's perspective, if we have to go in and take it over and do the full lion's share of the defense there, when our allies are supposed to be covering that and they're not stepping up and handling it, because maybe they don't have the GMP or the GDP or the military strength, and it's kind of like we need something in return, basically the minimal rights to it and the whole thing. That's his perspective. But before you jump into that, please see the rest of my discussion so that you understand the American viewpoint. For strength gains to outpace, yeah, Connor, strength gains can, but it can be a case of overuse. I don't know necessarily what's going on specifically with your joints, though. It could be a case of trying to do too much machine work and stuff also, affecting your lower body joints. Teda on Facebook says, hello, how are you doing? Yeah, the Facebook gets up more views after. So I've noticed Facebook doesn't get as many during, but then after it gets a lot more. If the U.S. took over, they would truly have to pay everything, including paying for subsidizing all the people there. Denmark is currently paying to Tanya. And I think he's aware of that, which is why it's just a discussion being had. But I mean, we've done some of that in the past with some of our other territories. I think perhaps I should cut leg extensions and squat more. I'm not injured, but sometimes joints feel worn. I might try that, Connor. You're going to get a better load dispersed across the joints. So take the leg extensions out and replace it with squats. It will distribute the load across more joints and tendons. And you may find that it may ease up on this problem for you. But I obviously don't want to make this whole thing about the Greenland thing because they're still early in these conversations. We'll kind of see what happens with the discussion on it and what agreements people come to in terms of the strategic situation. Because I think what people don't understand when you're dealing with Trump kind of does a, hey, if you don't take care of it, I will. Right? The controversy is, Dane, I don't care for Greenland. The people there get everything paid health and we get nothing back. So come buy it and be happy. Right. Well, if they get Americanized, they don't get that stuff. That's not how the U.S. works. You don't get free medical, dude. You got to pay for that. You got to go buy private insurance. So I'm going to see what the population is. Actually curious. Greenland's population is estimated to be around 56,000 people. That's not even a small city in the U.S. Yeah, that's such a tiny, tiny number. I've lived in towns that we don't even consider true cities that have bigger populations than that. Like the metropolitan area where I live is over 8 million people. I'm fully surprised Denmark doesn't just sell Greenland. From my limited knowledge, watching Borgen, it sounds like it's a lot of trouble to gain, right? Right. Yeah, and it doesn't make sense for a most socialized country that literally covers medical and all that stuff to have almost a colony like that of people who get all those benefits. Seems rather strange. Why does your broom have AIDS? I don't know. Why does your mom's broom have AIDS? Oh, he's a new channel. Kapow! There you go. Get rid of him, Connor. Would save us a ton of money. Denmark pays for free education, hospitals, police for them. Plus, we pay around $1 billion a year as extra subsidy. Wow. Yeah. So there we go. Interesting take. Because everyone that I'm seeing online makes it sound like all the Danes are completely opposed and offended. It's not for sale. Whereas in Trump might be like, look, bros, how about we give you guys some guns for it? Since you're struggling with defense issues, why don't we, ship you guys a few thousand, maybe give you 5,000 M4s, 10 million rounds of ammo for them. We'll throw in a couple tanks and a fighter jet and call it even. Because weapons is not something that we have a lack of. Even civilians. I don't think the average person overseas knows how many AR-15s Americans have. Like any of you guys, without looking it up, take a guess. And their death toll is surprisingly low. It's like a couple hundred people a year total. And all my police friends are like, yeah, all the criminals, and yet it's still so low. How many of you guys, without looking it up, take a guess? How many AR-15s do you think are estimated? Because they're not tracked fully, they're not registered. How many do you guys think are approximately in U.S. civilian hands? I know the number, but without looking it up. I'm kind of curious what other people think in other countries. Just ballpark, just the AR-15. Not talking total guns. What would you guys estimate? 100 million. That would be nice. Man, we need to get there. No, it's 30 million. 30 million of that platform. Just that platform. 30 million. I have a few that I lost in a tragic boating accident for any ATF people listening in. They're all at the bottom of Lake Somerville, had a tragic boating accident. But geopolitically, if the U.S. took Greenland, it would be a disaster. Immediately later, it would be dissolved. The U.S. would never again be an ally with Europe. Most likely turn to China. Well, I don't think we're talking about taking. You might be talking about pressuring a sale, meaning not take it, like we give you money and resources in exchange. We take it off your hands. All right, give us 100 billion. Is it even worth 100 billion? I don't know. How about 1 billion and some weapons for your military? And we just take it off your hands. I'm up here negotiating. We're having a negotiation here. No, I doubt they're in the trillions. I was thinking it'd be controversial to do by force. Maybe it's full of oil. It's okay. We were using a ton of F-30. There you go. See, now that's a better negotiation, because then we've not wronged you. We've given you weaponry as a military asset, as a military ally. We've increased your defensibility. You're now able to defend against Russia better. We get that, and see, everyone wins. Exactly. That also benefits the U.S. worker. Job creation. Well, yeah, there is the oil there. And if there's one thing Americans love, it is oil, baby. I can just see how easy it is for me to just say that and not even have a negative response. I don't even be upset about it. I don't see how that's even a bad thing. Like, people say that, and it's like, yeah, and I also like pussy. Don't you? I mean, what a silly comment. That's all about oil. You just like oil. Well, I like pussy too, don't you? I mean, seriously. Are we really having this conversation as grown adults? People are funny, obviously. And we also care about starving our enemies of oil. That's why the Venezuela thing was oil, pussy, and guns. There we go. Yeah, you can't. I know it's too frozen. It's not about always the losing money. It's about getting the reserves, though, so that we don't have to tap into our own. You have to remember that. Strategic reserves. And that's the thing with Venezuela. People are like, no, if you don't think it's about drugs, you're also wrong, because he's coming at Colombia too. Right. right? Yeah, with the north, yeah, with the ice melting, it matters. It absolutely matters, and that's a valid point. Yeah, Venezuela is enormously stocked with oil. But here's the thing: are we pretending that this is not an intelligent, brilliant move for us? Okay, think about this for a minute. The drugs is a huge factor, and it needs to be. But this is Venezuela is a multifaceted win for us. One, the majority of the population's happy about it. Okay, we removed a dictator. He was pumping drugs into our country and selling oil to our enemies. Do we understand this as an all-around win? And I've known a lot of Venezuelans because of the industry I worked in. We had a lot of Venezuelan nationals when I worked in natural gas. Um, and so understanding certain things going there, this is actually favorable to the Venezuelan people. They're generally happy about us having done this. It also helps shut some of the drug flow down, and then it shuts oil off to our enemies, and it also starves Cuba of resources, which has been a problem since before I was born for us. Right? I've not got enough information about educated opinion on this, but it seems like it serves our interests, so it's all good, right? Yeah. And I think the way it's going to work, Lars, we're not talking about long term locking it down. So what we're looking at then is elections coming up. That will most likely be what the U.S. does. Remove the dictator, get everything stable, right? Well, we don't give a shit if China isn't happy. China can suck a dick. Booyakasha. Right? Hey, I don't know or care how your cousin can become more popular with the girls. If you're going to ask me questions like that, you need to drop a super chat with it. I'm not giving you your cousin woman advice for free. Now, for a $10 super chat, I'll explain to you about the little man in the boat so you can pass it on. Yeah, no one cares if China's not happy. Good. None of us are happy with China. And you guys better be concerned. Because if the US falls and China keeps coming up, they will be your new overlords. And it's not going to be as benevolent as the US. You know, you will be serfs and slaves because the Chinese are a racist ethno state. China literally striates its society, and you have to be of the right ethnic background, not just Chinese. You have to be the right type of Chinese to even hold positions of power. And they have no trouble taking anyone of the wrong religion or wrong ethnicity and harvesting your organs. You know, that is not who you want in charge. What would the moral difference be between U.S. removing Venezuela leader and China removing the Taiwanese president? Because they're China. That's why. Are we going to really have this sort of comparative? I don't think so, Stressy. I don't think so. You know, hope that's not the case. What of China ever becoming the true superpower? That would be ugly. But Stressy, here's the thing. I am freely willing to admit and openly admit I'm a U.S. nationalist. I've said this for 20 plus years. I've always been very open about that fact that I generally tend to view all political policy from the best interest of my country. It's rather ingrained in our culture, which is again why we've been successful. We're not the way that we are because we're a superpower. We became a superpower because of the way that we are. Other countries might want to take notes. Chinese are doing the same thing. That's what makes China so dangerous. They're doing the same sort of thing we did in our own culture. Staunch, dogmatic nationalism into the culture. Right. I do get that. I think it's just about if China removes a Taiwan president, we struggle being morally outraged. We could be outraged for financial reasons, but not the moral perspective. But the moral perspective is always the rallying cry that you use. That's just how politics work. Because a lot of people are not willing to admit the other strategic stuff. And they need everything to be about moral perspective. And that's fine. I get that. So that's the way everything is spun. All politics are spun that way, all of it. It doesn't matter which side you're on in any conflict. It's always spun as the moral thing. Hell, the Nazis thought they were being moral. They believed they were morally correct. So understand this is how all politics work. Everything is about moral outrage. Moral outrage is a tool. Not saying we shouldn't have morals. But if you're truly morally outraged about something, other than just a crybaby outrage, you're going to go take up arms. If you don't, I don't believe you. I've reached a 475 squat on your novice 2.0, still kind of progressing in linear progression. That's crazy. I want to see some videos of this. Owen, you've got a new account, so making these sort of crazy claims with no footage is rather unacceptable. This might just go ahead and get rid of you for lying. Because everybody has smartphones today. There's never an excuse of not having footage. Yeah, he's lying. Yeah, you might have to do that. Danny called it. Danny's a long time account. He's got little bunny rabbits. What's up with you? All those bunnies are kind of cute, man. I'm not gonna lie, Danny. Them little bunnies are kind of cute, man. Yeah. No, they're cute. So, Odin, you're going to have to go for lying. Get out of here. I think Lars' point above is interesting about why they feel betrayed. Good to hear Coach's perspective on that. The only thing is a day and we have lots more people per capita in the U.S. fighting side by side with us in Iraq and Afghanistan. So excuse your feelings. Also keep in mind, and I get what you're saying, Lars, but it's also the case of people needing to do their part as part of the alliance. And the U.S. does over handle protection of the European situation in NATO. And the other countries have not been stepping up their spending to match. And this has been a problem, historically in these agreements. So it's kind of that case of, look, we need you to step up and lock this down. Like flat out and just saying it out there in public. His bunny accidentally got prickers. Yeah, that happens. That do happen. Hold on. sort of nonsense message coming through on Instagram. Dude, the amount of just continual nonsense, spam advertising, or promoters will whatever. No, you're not. Piss off. Interesting Q&A today. Go to the dash off though. Thanks, coach, and all. Yep. Take care. It's been a slow turnout. It'll pick back up though. It's going to be a little slow because I spammed all that stuff for a couple of days to just get it out of the feed because I need all my videos to hit the format that Facebook prefers. So I wanted to just get that stuff just done and over, one and done. Now the live streams last however long I want. Sometimes I'll cut them off at 30 minutes. I think I might do that here since it's slow and it's not making money. I can go back to doing more productive stuff with that 30 minutes. That's actually more beneficial if I need to. It's just the way it is. That we might do that. We'll see if it gets this later. But I think I'm going to wind it down. So I'm going to give you guys a bicep shot. Keep up those memes. I will be not quitting the memes. Oh, Mount Bicephalus. And we're out.